Midnight Muses here again. So I'm finally going to be doing a video that I said I've been going to be doing, I think, since I started my channel, which is about 1.5 years ago now, and that is finally going to start doing my book reviews. I've decided to do this one today, which is Kelley Armstrong's The Masked Truth. I know that I keep talking about how I'm going to do a review on the 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I'm just about through it. I have been sticking good to my working on my self-care and all that kind of stuff and giving myself some reading time. I do now only have a couple of chapters left on that one. I'm very much looking forward to reviewing it. At this point, I do feel like I could review it because I wouldn't spoil the ending anyway, but I personally just want to have completely finished the book because, you know, sometimes you'll get through a book and it'll be the best thing that you've ever read, and then you get to the end and you're like, well, that's it? That's how it ends? Like, really? So I just in case, I really highly doubt that's going to happen, but just in case, I want to make sure I've completely finished it before I review it the way I want to. So instead, I'm going to review this one. This one I did read a little bit earlier in the year, but it made a really, really, really big impact on me. Actually, I think I read it more towards the end of last year. But with what I went through at the beginning of the year, this really has, I did end up reading it again. It's such an important book to me, I find, and also because I do talk a lot about mental health and being an advocate for mental health and treatment and all of that. I do think that this is a really important book to read. It is by Kelley Armstrong. She is my favorite Canadian author by far. I actually had the joy of meeting her quite a few years ago now. She was so wonderful, and luckily enough, I was the last person to go to the signing because I had to work that day, and I was actually working in the mall at that time. I worked a few stores down, and they let her know that, you know, I'd be coming in after my shift, and if it would be okay, would she mind waiting a couple of extra minutes for me? And she so graciously did, and we ended up being able to talk for longer than I would have been able to had I just been in line to get my book signed. And so apart from signing a lot of my books, and this is just I literally have every single thing she's ever written. If you look at, well, you can't see because I have the camera lower, but this is just another bookshelf. Usually when I film my makeup videos, I'm in front of a different bookshelf. This one goes all the way up to my ceiling and is completely packed, and I have her books, are my main books, on this shelf. So we are third from the bottom here, and there's another 2 shelves up, and they're all her books. And a little bit of Neil Gaiman as well. Those are my 2 like big authors that I read the most out of anyone else. Anyways, so this is a different book for her to write. She's never written anything like this before, and I think that's why I wanted to talk about it first, because, you know, I can get into her other world stories and her young adult and then her there's so many ones to talk about, but I wanted to start this one. Also, this is a standalone book, which she does not have too many of those, and it's a great read, and it's something that I think that you should read at any age, whether you're a teenager or an adult. It's really great. I think this is technically a young adult because it is about teenagers, but it is extremely important to read as an adult as well, especially because of the understanding that it gives you for people who suffer from mental illness. So what this book is about is, it's about a group of kids. They meet up to do some kind of therapy program, and then essentially things just turn sideways, and they're under attack. There's like these people that are keeping them hostage and whatever, and one of the characters in the book suffers from paranoid schizophrenia, and he's trying to deal with the whole idea of, are there really people attacking us, or is this my mind telling me that there's people attacking us, and what's real and what's not real? And going into, you know, finding a balance and, you know, medications that work, and the fact that you can have this illness and live a rewarding life, but that it does take a lot of work and dedication, and it's something that you have to be strict with always. And that's something that I speak about a lot just in my mental health videos, where it's like, you know, I'm constantly working towards better managing my mental illness. This book definitely talks about that, but I love that it really talks about the scary mental illnesses and sheds a light that's not negative. There's so many things that happen that are bad in this book and like crazy, and oh my gosh, you like, the suspense is so thrilling because it's a bunch of teenagers being held hostage by a bunch of people with guns, and they're terrified on what's happening. And there's so many twists and turns. I could never spoil a book. I will not tell you how they twist and how they turn. Please go and read this. Again, it is called The Masked Truth. It is an absolutely fabulous book. But it's just, I love the portrayal of mental health and how it is not viewed as something to be scared of. At the very beginning, it is, because at the very beginning, you're going in there with you know, like, there's like that one main character. You get her view mostly for everything. You do get switching views between her and another character, but it starts off with her. And how, you know, certain people do make her feel nervous because you don't know. And you don't know that the character that has schizophrenia has it until you're speaking in that, not speaking, until you're reading in that person's perspective, and the fear that person feels over this, and having people know that this is something that they suffer from. And not wanting it to be known. Again, I talk a lot about the stigma of people not wanting to, of not wanting that out, you know, like, if I have that, you never want anyone to know. I'm very lucky that I don't, but I've known people that do, and it's terrifying, for them, and just for anyone, because even you who don't have it, you feel scared to tell other people in your life that you know someone that does, because you don't want them to be scared of that person. And this really, really goes into that in depth, but from the perspective of somebody who is suffering from it, and then also, again, from the perspective of somebody who isn't, because along the way that things work out, it's so incredibly well written. I absolutely recommend it. As I said, it is technically young adult, but I didn't read this until I was 30, and I was captivated by it. Really, really, really beautiful book. And again, if you want to learn more about mental health that's not in a, like, mental health for dummies or self-help or written by a doctor and very clinical, if you want to just read something where you feel like you're actually getting an idea of what it's like to be in that kind of headspace, this is a great place to get you started. I really can't say enough about it. I so desperately want to spoil it, but I do think that for my booktube, I would like to make it kind of a spoiler-free kind of situation. And I honestly haven't met another person who's read this particular book. I'm sure that there are thousands and thousands of people out there. But in my personal group of friends, I don't know anyone else that has. So, and I know that a lot of, like, my friends and family are the ones that mainly look at my channel. I don't want to tell them any details that might spoil them from wanting to actually read this. I don't want to tell them the end before it begins. But please go and read this book. This is the hardcover. It is now out in paperback. I honestly don't know what the paperback looks like. I got this the day that it was released. She had an early release online, I think. Well, not an early release, I think, because she a lot of time when she's releasing a new book, especially like a new one, whether it's from a new series or a standalone, she'll release so many chapters online. And I did read the first, I believe it was 3 chapters before it was released, and the day it was like, all right, off we go, time to get this. And this one, I don't even know when this one came out. I may have read it 3 times, depending on the year that it came out. Let me check. In 2015, oh yeah, I've read it a few times then, because I did get it in 2015. So this is now 4 years old. I have definitely read it a few times. I read it when it came out. I know I read it again at the end of last year, and I did read it again during the year this year, because as I said, it did hit so close to home with me with some stuff that's happened in the last year. I actually did lose I've lost people that had that illness. So, more than one, actually. So it was really, really important. Please read this. This is definitely a shorter video than usual for me. As I said, I can't talk about it, and not the problem, because it's an amazing thing, but a problem for me talking about it is that this gets real twisty-turny in, like, the first 15 pages. So, other than telling you that it's a group of kids that go to a therapy session and then it suddenly becomes a hostage situation. And even that technically is spoiling something in the first chapter, but that's as far as I'll go. It's so wonderful, and you will not expect where it takes you. I will say that because I've read thousands of books, and I was surprised multiple times reading this book, and I feel like at this point, I generally have a good idea of being able to guess where a book is going. Even the book that I am reading right now, as I said, is The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton? Turton? I think it's Turton. It's his first book. And with that one, it is amazing. It has twists. I love it. It's super mysterious, and it makes your pulse just like, whew. It's wonderful. But I have a feeling that I know what's going to happen at the end, which is why I said I want to wait until I'm completely finished, so to see if, you know, what I'm thinking came true or not, which, I mean, I wouldn't tell you if it did, but like, or I'd tell you if it did, but I wouldn't tell you what it was. But I want to know before I review it, but I feel like I know where it's going, whereas with this one, I had that feeling, I don't know, I think maybe like 6 times, and every time it was wrong. It was like, nope, we're going in this direction now, and we're going in this direction now. It's so brilliantly written. I was actually quite upset knowing that it was a standalone book. It was another one of those situations where it's like, well, this one I didn't finish. I don't know what's going on with my hair right here. This one I did read like extremely quickly, and I have reread it multiple times, but it was one of those ones where the first time I was done reading it was like, but I want more. That was amazing. I want to know like how like these people's lives progress after this thing, and like what, you know, just more. I just want more. And not being able to read more, I did what I do a lot of the time, where it's like I immediately go and read it again, and then I put it aside, but I put it somewhere close, which is my Kelley Armstrong books are always super close because I frequently reread them. I think after I do my next book review, which as I said will be Evelyn Hardcastle, I'll probably jump into the Otherworld series, just because that series is done, and I will go into my thoughts and feelings in that one. That will be a really long video though, because there are 13 books, never mind all of the side books and short stories that went along with it. There are 13 in like the main collection. It's been going on for years. This is actually the first one right here, and I believe that's my copy, my very first copy of it. I have multiple copies. It's another thing where it's like Harry Potter. I don't know why my skin color just changed right there. I think it's because the sun's slowly setting, and you're just getting a little bit of natural light from my window. But this is, I think, my very first copy that I got, but I'm not entirely sure. I have multiple. It's like repeating myself. I think I have like 6 copies of the Harry Potter books at this point, because I have my first editions, which I don't really want to use or read because, you know, they're special, and so I have my reading copies and my hardcovers and all that, and it's the same with her. As you can see, I have some hardcovers, but then I have paperbacks. I like to read paperbacks. I do like to have hardcovers, and if I get a hardcover, usually I'll read this one the first time around, because usually that's how I get it. Usually books are released in a hardcover when you first get them, and I'll read them that way, but I'll be super careful when I'm reading it. Keep it in as good a condition as it, like this looks brand new off the shelf. There's no like lines anywhere through it. Also, I do take this off while reading it, but even if I were to take it off, you would see in the back the spine is barely broken, because I like even watch like how I open it. Like I'll open it like this and like read it as carefully as possible, so it's like not all the way open, just so I can put it back on the shelf and keep it in mint condition. And then when it comes to rereading, like even with this book, I have a paper book, or is it no, I don't have a paper book of this one. I have it on my phone as well. I have it on not Audible on Kindle. On Kindle, and I've reread it on Kindle a bunch of times. But I always have what I call my reading copy of my books. So like these are reading copies. These are sitting on the shelf copies. This is a reading copy, and so on. But I'm totally getting sidetracked here. Main point of this video, which is actually a normal length for once, and pretty simple. It's going to be an easy, quick upload. I'll probably upload it on Monday. Please check out this book. Again, it is called The Masked Truth by Kelley Armstrong. I do believe it is in the young adult section. It's fantastic if you want to have an idea of what living with paranoid schizophrenia is like. It is a great read, and it's also a great way to read about it in a way where to show you that there are all aspects of that illness. It is not necessarily, you know, something to be scared of. It is something to be concerned about, and it is something that needs to be managed and taken care of at all times. But it's not necessarily like, oh, they have that, like, well, I need to stay far away from them. They're terrifying. They might hurt me. They might do this. They're unstable. A lot of the time they're quite stable, and even when they're not stable, it doesn't mean that they're going to hurt you. It means that they're suffering inside their own head. And it's a very scary thing for someone to have to go through, and I do believe that they deserve a lot more empathy and a lot more help. There's not enough help for them by half. There's not enough help for anyone with any mental illness by half. But because this book really falls into, that's the main mental illness that they focus on in this novel, so which is why it's the main mental illness that I'm speaking of in this video. Would definitely recommend it. Please read it. It's so good. It's so amazing. I cannot say that enough. I'm actually quite happy to make this my first official book review for like any booktube videos that I do. I didn't even know booktube was a thing until I was watching Peter Mon. It was like, oh, you talk about books. Oh my gosh, I want to talk about books. I thought like YouTube was just like makeup and weird silly videos. So excited. I'm so happy. Again, read this. Please, please, please read this book. And I will be back again soon. Alright, thank you so much for watching. If you want to keep watching my videos, see more book reviews, makeup, anything like that, send me a comment below. Please hit subscribe. Please like this video. I try to be here twice a week, and I've now gotten into the whole pre-filming thing, so when I am busy, I'm still able to upload regularly. Learning as we go, slowly getting better resolution, better quality. Gonna keep on trying, but yeah, read this. It will change your life, I promise. All right, bye.